Last night, the kid was on the mound, and he was terrific. Down one in the ninth, it was Giancarlo time. On to extras. A little Ed Lucas did the trick. Today in Miami, the sun rises on the last day of the first half as the Marlins look for a sweep of the National. It is a kid's Sunday here at Marlins Park, and that would be a kid getting a great ride into the ballpark as the Marlins and the Nationals finish the first half, finish off a 3-game series, and the Marlins have won the first 2 last night in stirring fashion. Henderson Alvarez against Taylor Jordan, and the Nationals trying to keep pace with the Braves and keep from getting swept. Harbor One, Rich Waltz along with Tommy Hutton. This young Marlins bunch, who had the great June, stumbled a bit out of the blocks of July. They seem to have righted themselves, Tommy. They have the second-best record in the National League since May 31st.
You know, they've gotten some clutch base hits. They've made clutch plays. We've seen some good pitching. And it's amazing how when you combine all of that and play some solid defense, you usually win a few games.
It was a stirring win last night, and obviously great theater when Giancarlo Stanton came to the plate and belted one out in the 9th inning. And Stanton in this series has hit a couple, and it shows that he's back.
That's why we always tell you, never leave the TV set or never leave your seat if you're at the ballpark when Stanton comes up to hit. He can do something impressive. We've seen a couple of impressive home runs in this series. High fastball, he takes it to the Budweiser balcony, just a shot. And, Jose Fernandez absolutely loved it. So did the fans at the ballpark because it tied the game 1-1. Now, what you hope to see, you hope that Giancarlo can have the kind of second half he had last year. Last year, he hit 18 home runs the second half of the season.
Marlins are hoping that Henderson Alvarez is the latest young pitcher to join a very talented rotation. Alvarez's first 2 starts a little uneven.
Yeah, good stuff. In talking to Mike Redmond about him, he'd like to see him settle into a better routine, get his work in between starts. But all in all, Alvarez takes good stuff when he goes to the mound. He's only faced the Nationals one other time.
Coventry Healthcare matchup. Taylor Jordan has a tough delivery to pick up and a dynamite circle change, and he goes today.
Yeah, he'll get ground balls, has that good change, and as Rich mentioned, he kind of throws from behind his head. Every once in a while, he'll actually knock his cap off.
And so Taylor Jordan, Henderson Alvarez, the Marlins playing some good defense last night and much better defense from last year. On a kid's Sunday, it's the Marlins and the Nationals. go for the sweep over the Nationals, and we head out to center field. Craig Minervini, Frank Fort, gentlemen.
Thank you, Rich. Always love that shot of the pitcher coming in, and no question, Frank, the pitchers have gotten nice defense from the Marlins this year. They are ranked 8th and improving so far. We're going to talk on this Kid Sunday a lot about defense today.
Yeah, and Henderson Alvarez is one of those pitchers that needs good defense behind him because he's not a strikeout guy. He pitches to contact, so the Marlins need good defense behind him. After a first 2 months, which were not good defensively, the Marlins were at the bottom of the pack. As you said, now they're in the middle with 58 errors in 92 games. That's a much more manageable number. One of the guys who's improved the defense is Marcell Ozuna, the young Dominican, 23 years old. He was a right fielder in the minor leagues for the Marlins, but he's played center field this year, and he has a cannon of an arm. A lot of people have compared it to Raul Mondesi, the former Dodger. Look at the trajectory. It's low, one hop, right on the money. He throws it low enough that it can be cut off if need be. Accurate for the most part, and he has 8 outfield assists, which is behind only Carlos Gonzalez and Gerardo Parra in the National League. Those 8 assists lead all National League rookie outfielders. He has shown a real flair defensively, and those outfield assists can be game-changing plays. They always give a team a lift.
And they were so exciting, too, in big moments. You're right, Ozuna has come through. Ed Lucas has been the all-around guy for the Marlins. We know how many big hits he's gotten. He gets on base via the walk. Fielder's choice last night drove in the game winner. Gets on base for the middle of the order, but he's also done a very nice steadying job at his various positions, and Perry Hill feels very comfortable at putting him anywhere, especially in tough positions like first base to pick up. He's played some third base for the Marlins and done more than a reasonable job there and some hot shots. He's made a couple errors, 3 total, but really has been solid for the Marlins, turning some double plays. The Marlins are 5th in the league and turning 2. And Lucas, whether he's playing third base, the hot corner, over on the other side of the infield, second base and first base, he's done very well for the Marlins, and they are happy to have him. And not so coincidentally, Frank, he came up right toward the end of May. The Marlins have been playing great ever since then. As you look at all the games he's played, Mr. Versatile, the Dartmouth grad, Eddie Lucas. All right, Frank and I will see you on the post-game show as the Fish go for the sweep. Taking on the Washington Nationals. Richard Tommy with the call coming up.
Nationals reach the All-Star break after this ball game as the Fish and the Nationals finish this 3-game set. And JM Lexus brings you the starting lineup. Bryce Harper, who got tossed in last night's ball game. Anthony Rendon is at second. Ryan Zimmerman is at third base. Adam LaRoche in the cleanup spot. Jason Worth in right. Ian Desmond at short. Denard Span is in center field. Wilson Ramos is hot. He does the catching and hits 8th. And young Taylor Jordan hits 9th. There's the leadoff man for the Nationals. Denard Span has actually been demoted. He's been struggling at the plate, so Harper hits leadoff.
Well, and Davey Johnson hoping Harper stays in there for 9 in this one. There's a look at Henderson Alvarez making his third start. Shoulder is healthy, feels fine. just a matter of command, getting a little more command of his pitches. But the stuff has been there. In talking to Mike Redmond before the game, that stuff has been pleasing to him, but he'd like to see him more command as he looks for his first win as a Marlin.
And so Alvarez, a pair of starts both against the Atlanta Braves. Pinch-A-Penny brings you the first pitch. Alvarez a little waggle before the first pitch and a ground ball out to second base. Derek Dietrich is there. Didn't have to juggle that one. Hope you had a chance to see him juggling at the end of Marlins Live. That was pretty cool.
Yeah, it tells you he's got some pretty good hands.
And it helps the defense, which is brought to you by the Cleveland Clinic, Florida.
And there it is. Juan Pierre with the start this afternoon. Ozuna and Stanton. Greg Dobbs over at first base. He's starting today. Echeverria, Dietrich up the middle. Polanco in the lineup. And Jeff Mathis, who just continues to throw runners out. 13 of 21. 62% throwing runners out.
Here is Rendon, the young infielder. Rendon, a high draft pick out of Rice. He was the 6th overall pick in 2011. It's one of the things the Nationals have done quite well, and that is draft and develop over the last 3-4 years. Obviously, they had with the Davey Johnson, Mike Rizzo, the general manager, they had the first overall pick a couple times, and it was pretty hard not to pick Bryce Harper or Steven Strasburg. But you look around this roster with
they
the
threw in a Drew Storen,
the Ian Desmonds, the Rendons, guys like that. That's been impressive. Alvarez throws a strike. Alan Porter's calling balls and strikes today. Mike Estabrook, Jerry Lane, and Hunter Wendelstadt are on the bases. Here's a look at Alan Porter. 3-1 pitch, right down the middle, and a line shot that Dobbs has. Rendon hit it on the nose. There are 2 outs.
Well, you check into the dugout, see where Perry Hill is. He makes sure you're in the right location. The defense is set up, and Dobbs was right there.
There's Perry Hill. Everybody knows exactly where to find him. Zimmerman now 2 for 10 in this series. And the Nationals struggling on this road trip. They've dropped 5 of their last 6. Lost 3 of 4 in Philly. Before getting here, Marlins beat them decisively 8-3 Friday night, and then a thrilling win last night 2-1 in 10 innings. Giancarlo Stanton saving the day in the bottom of the 9th with a home run against the Nationals closer Rafael Soriano to send it to extras. Then it took some great pitching by Steve Cishek, including a strikeout of Ryan Zimmerman, to get it to the bottom of the 10th, still 1-1.
Yeah, we talked about so much of the things that have led to the Marlins having such a good run since May 31st. You certainly have to throw in Steve Cishek and what he's done.
Off the glove of Alvarez, Dietrich has time, and he gets the out. Now there's some good defense. 1-4-3. Scoreless. Stripling as they come in on a Kids Sunday here at Marlins Park. Marlins and Nationals, bottom of the first, the Fish bring this lineup. And it's brought to you by JM Lexus. Juan Pierre gets to start in left. Placido Polanco's been hot. He's at third. Giancarlo Stanton's homered in both games of the series. Marcelo Zuna out in center. Derek Dietrich slides up to the 5 spot. Adeiny Echeverria had his hit streak stopped, but has had a terrific July. Greg Dobbs at first. Jeff Mathis, 2 hits last night. Henderson Alvarez hits ninth. And it's Pierre against Taylor Jordan. And Jordan whips in a fastball that's up.
Taylor Jordan, 24 years old, making just his 4th major league start. Ross Detweiler's on the disabled list for the Nationals. And as you watch that delivery, it's not quite like Josh Colmenter of the Diamondbacks, but it has some similarities.
As the terminology goes, he wraps the hand back behind his cap. And so as a hitter, you don't see the baseball until the very last second.
Yeah, there it goes. It disappears, and all of a sudden it shows up.
2-1. Pierre, little tapper out towards short. Desmond hustles, whips it over in time to get Pierre. Ian Desmond, part of the defense for the Nationals, and it's brought to you by Cleveland Clinic, Florida.
And they have Harper, Span, and Worth in that outfield. Wilson Ramos catching all 3 games of this series. Zimmerman, Desmond, Rendon, and LaRoche around the infield.
It's been one of the problems for the Nationals. They are dead last in the National League in fielding percentage. They have kicked 67 balls this year. It's tied with the Dodgers for worst in the National League.
Well, it came back to bite them in the game last night.
Here's Polanco. Polanco, a roller up the middle. Desmond gathers it in and throws him out.
Interesting moves last night with the double switch that Davey Johnson made last night. He had Chad Tracy at third base, and that proved to be a big play on a ground ball. He makes a good pick and then just totally uncorks an errant throw. So he's charged with an error. And eventually the winning run came in to score.
A costly error. And he ended up at second base. And then the inning unfolded.
The other thing that happened with the Nationals last night, with Harper getting thrown out, his spot in the order came up. And instead of having to face a Bryce Harper, it was Scott Hairston, the hitter.
Giancarlo Stanton. Stanton thrilled everybody. Though I think the most thrilled in the ballpark last night was Jose Fernandez when Stanton took a letter-high fastball and pumped it up to the Budweiser bar. Watch this and watch the reaction. I mean, it was a no-doubter. Jordan buries that one in, and it's 1-2.
Now, Giancarlo, there's no ballpark that can hold him. There's the reaction of Jose, who had been out of the game a couple of innings, 2-3 innings.
Stanton swings, misses. It's dug out by Ramos, and Taylor Jordan works a 1-2-3 first. Underway and scoreless in Miami. On this glorious day in Miami. It's brought to you by H.H. Gregg. Inside Marlins Park, Henderson Alvarez faces Adam LaRoche. Marlins and Nationals headed in different directions right now. The Nationals have dropped 5 of 6. The Marlins are trying to win 4 in a row for the first time this year. And Alvarez starts LaRoche with a strike. Worth and Desmond to follow.
The Marlins had that stretch where it seemed they lost the first game of a series, but then they went 2 or 3. But they have yet to win, as you mentioned, 4 in a row.
LaRoche with a slicing liner into left field for a base hit, and that's the first hit of the ball game. And that brings up Jason Worth. This year, Fox Sports Supports is proud to partner with Stomp Out Bullying, the leading national anti-bullying organization for kids and teens in the U.S. Stomp Out Bullying focuses on preventing bullying, all forms of digital abuse. It educates against racism, hatred, deters violence in school and online, and helps at-risk students. To learn how you can help, please visit stompoutbullying.org. Worth, since coming off the DL with a hamstring injury, has been well over 300. And he's really turned it up in the month of July. It's brought his average just under 300. Worth a total of 63 games. And he's been productive at 9 doubles, 10 homers, 33 RBIs in just the 63 games.
You know, you think about it, Rich, looking ahead to the second half, the Marlins will have some starting pitchers for Mike Redmond that will be strong. You'll have Henderson Alvarez, who's making just his 3rd start here because of the shoulder problems, but he's fine. You'll have Nathan Eovaldi, who missed a good portion of the first half. You know Jose Fernandez is going to be strong. You have Jacob Turner in the rotation.
The one caveat among those names is that Jose Fernandez probably will be shut down mid-September when he approaches 160, 165 innings. In fact, today's starter for the Nationals, Taylor Jordan, is on about a 130 inning limit this year because he had Tommy John surgery in 2011, late 2011. Late life on that fastball, and it was fouled back to the screen. It's 2-2. Alvarez just 23 out of Venezuela.
And Rich, you did your homework assignment. You found out a little bit about Henderson Alvarez, a question we had the last time he pitched.
Those are not prescription glasses. Smack to center. That one's really hit. Ozuna back, reaches up, makes the catch. Boy, Worth hit it right on the button. Ozuna gets a good first step. He's got good angles in the outfield, and he looks very comfortable in center field.
Got a nice jump here, and this one's always a little tougher because directly at him a little bit to his right. So he had a nice angle, but a good jump as that ball took off and was hit well by Worth. He looks smooth out there. I love the comparison I heard. I think it was Frank, maybe on Marlins Live, in talking about Ozuna, a Raul Mondesi comparison.
As far as the arm.
Yeah.
Well, as you pointed out, we showed a clip of Ozuna's greatest hits as far as his throws this year. And all of the throws had the one thing in common. They were all on one hop. They were all cuttable throws, very manageable for either the third baseman or the catcher. And even the throw he made last night was one that I know Jeff Mathis would like to have back. The collision at the plate.
It was a good throw. It was a good throw, and boy, he had Bryce Harper barreling down on him. But, yeah, Frank used the word trajectory because it's easier for me to say they're cuttable.
0-1 to Ian Desmond, the Nationals shortstop. Desmond fouls it back. All right, here's the play with Harper, who's an aggressive runner. You know he's coming. And Mathis admitted he just took his eye off the ball.
You know, there are some runners that you might not do that, take your eye off of it, but when you know it's Harper, you know he's going to come in and try to take you out with a clean hit.
Desmond swings and misses.
Marlins have gotten Ian Desmond, when they've gotten ahead of him in this series, they've gotten him to chase a lot of breaking pitches out of the strike zone, and Alvarez did it there.
Yeah, he's struck out 5 times now in this series. Randi Institute bringing you Fox Tracks. And here is Denard Span, who is headed into the All-Star break in a tailspin right now. He's 1 for his last 20. Span takes a strike. Of course, Denard Span and Ben Revere both coming from the Twins into the National League East. And last night, Ben Revere broke his foot on a foul ball.
Boy, a tough blow. The Phillies without Ryan Howard. Now without their leadoff guy, their center fielder.
2 teams in the East have taken some body shots. The Braves losing Jason Hayward and B.J. Upton in the span of a couple of days. No pun intended. Counts 1-1 on Denard Span.
Didn't stop the Braves last night, though. They beat the Reds 5-2. Brian McCann, Dan Uggla with home runs.
Braves today have Reed Johnson in center, and Terdoslavich is out in right. Not sure what that is. But it certainly wasn't the standings.
It was for the Randi Institute, I think. Just a quick eye check.
I looked at it and I thought to myself, I thought we were going into the All-Star break, not the 3rd week of April. Tommy, help me. Counts 2-2. And the pitch misses down low. Actually, the Nationals sit 7 games back of Atlanta right now, and the Phillies are 7.5 back. Davey Johnson still thinks his team is capable of putting it in gear and getting back to where they were. See that? Here's the 3-2. Liner into right center field. That could be trouble with the runner on the move. LaRoche headed for third. Up with the ball is Ozuna. LaRoche is coming home. Throw to the plate, and he is safe. Just slides in under Mathis. The Marlins made it close. Ozuna, Dietrich to Mathis, but the Nationals are on the board.
Well, you'd mentioned Span had been struggling, just 1 for 20, but once this ball get into that gap, good play by Ozuna to get there. He gets it in quickly. The Marlins do everything right. Dietrich makes a nice throw to the plate, but Adam LaRoche just beats it, and Mathis tried to block him off the plate as well. Not afraid of a little contact in there is Jeff Mathis.
So Span ends up with an RBI double. Nationals score first, and Wilson Ramos is up. And a strike. The nice thing in watching that play at the plate, Mathis didn't flat out block the plate. He allowed, he gave with the legs spread, an opportunity for LaRoche to slide in.
He gave him an opening.
Because and Mathis knew this too, you could tell the throw was going to be late. There
he is. He's set. Certainly has those legs set because he knows he's going to take a little bit of a hit.
That's a nice slide by LaRoche to go after the plate with his feet rather than, as we've seen, that matrix type slide around and try to get your hand in there.
Well, it's Kids Sunday, so it's always good to show the kids something to do. Look at the on-deck batter, Wilson Ramos. All of a sudden, if you're on deck and you have a runner coming in at the plate, you become a coach. You have to let him know what to do, and Ramos did a pretty good job.
Ramos fouls that pitch out. Ramos has been swinging the bat well since coming off the disabled list.
It's one of the reasons that we've seen him all 3 games in this series. We've not seen Kurt Suzuki.
He's over 400. Hamstring had him on the DL. Remember, he had knee surgery last year. Breaking ball, ground ball. Echeverria behind the bag. Flip to first is in time. But the Nationals are on the board. Denard Span drives in Adam LaRoche. Your birthday. Enjoy the game from a private field level area, and your child will be the honorary starter for the Great Sea Race. Birthday packages are only $39 per person, and you get all the food, autographs, and all of that. Book your party now at marlins.com/groups.
Hey, they're ready. They got the eye black, they got their gloves, they got their jerseys,
sunglasses.
Yeah. Looking good.
All hopped up on birthday cake and Mountain Dew, Tommy.
That sugar high will take until about 9 o'clock tonight.
Taylor Jordan, he's 24, Merritt Island, Florida. Merritt Island High School, Brevard Community College.
Let's take a look at the scouting report. He does have deception. The fastball, he can sink it, and a good changeup. And here's a guy this year, started the season in A ball. He then went to Double-A, and combined he was 9-1 with a 1.00 ERA.
And as we noted, Tommy John surgery in late August of 2011, so an innings limit this year. Bouncer up the middle, Ozuna's aboard. With a leadoff single here in the second.
I think there'll be a lot of guys. Everybody enjoys the break, but certainly Marcell Ozuna, who has not missed many games since he was called up. Good solid swing there, stays on the ball well. I think Ozuna will get fresh during the 4-day break, as will Derek Dietrich, Echeverria as well. Young players who at this level all of a sudden have been playing just about every day.
That's one of the reasons they're playing every day, is they are young, and you can run them out there every day, but at some point you do need a break. Dietrich flips one foul and out of play. Dietrich had a couple of hits on Friday night, including an RBI single. On Friday night, the Marlins beat Steven Strasburg. Strasburg lasting just 2 innings. Last night, Dan Haren was dominant for the Nationals. 6 innings, 3 hits, no runs. Jose Fernandez, very good for the Fish. 6 innings, a run on 4 hits.
And I think it just goes to show you how talented Jose Fernandez is. He would be the first to tell you he didn't have his best of command with his pitches, but still he gave up just the 1 run.
He'll go into the All-Star break with an ERA of 2.75.
And he'll be the biggest cheerleader at Citi Field for the National League All-Star team.
Well, you think about where he was 5-6 years ago and where he's going in the next 3 days, and it's mind-blowing. And 6 years ago, he was in jail in Cuba after being caught trying to escape the second time. One, two. That's a fair ball into the corner, and Ozuna can run. Worth races to pick it up to third. It'll be held there, and Worth with a rocket throw to home plate. Dietrich ends up with a double.
The young hitter's looking good. Marcell Ozuna with a base hit up the middle, and Derek Dietrich sneaking one past a guy who has Gold Glove defense at first. Hard shot past LaRoche, and scooting over to third was Ozuna. The ball was hit well.
Joe Espada was watching Worth the whole way, and once Worth got to it cleanly, he put the stop sign up, and you saw the throw from Worth, a strong one from the corner. Now, Mike Redmond right now out to talk to Alan Porter about something, and about what, I'm not sure.
I don't know if there was anything down in the corner when Worth picked the ball out.
Derek Dietrich. Hold on here. Are they going to call it a foul ball?
Wow.
They're going to call it a foul ball, and they're going to bring Dietrich back to the plate and Ozuna back to first. The ball landed right beyond the bag. And I don't know if Alan Porter overruled Mike Estabrook, the first base umpire.
He does have the right to overrule on a ball before the bag.
Now it's a line drive,
so it has to hit fair. It looks like it landed foul. Yeah, you can see the spot.
Here's the 1-2. What may have confused Estabrook, if it's a ground ball and it passes over the bag, it doesn't matter where it lands beyond the bag. But if it's a line drive, it has to hit either on the line or inside the line to be a fair ball. Dietrich swings and misses. It's an enormous turn.
Oh, what a swing.
The only other question would be, did the ball graze the glove of LaRoche? Because if it touches his glove,
it didn't look like it did. Right about there is where the ball bounces. You don't see chalk come out.
Here's Echeverria.
Well, what a turning point. You know, the amazing thing about it, Rich, it's the type of play. I don't even know if the Nationals.
Ground ball in the hole and into left field. Echeverria. Look at Ozuna racing for third, and Harper's throw is cut off.
Challenge the young left fielder. That's what Ozuna did. That's exactly what Bryce Harper would have done. He does that all the time. So good job by Ozuna on the base hit. And all of a sudden now Echeverria starting another hitting streak. He had his 11-game streak stopped last night. They try to work him in. He turns on it a little bit. We've seen him go the other way.
So Greg Dobbs finds himself in a spot with runners at the corners and one out.
The point I was making, Rich, it was the type of play and an overturn of the call, which it looks like was the right call. But I don't know if the Nationals had any argument at all, had it been a double. Unless LaRoche may have said something to the first base umpire.
I would expect it was Ramos who said something to Porter, because LaRoche simply got up and continued the play, but both Ramos and Porter had the best look at it from behind home plate. Big AB here. Dobbs, a couple homers, 18 driven in. You've got speed at the corners. Echeverria at first, Ozuna at third. Dobbs a ground ball up the middle, and Desmond will get the double play. And the inning ends just like that. So a tough break for the Fish and a 1-0 lead for the Nationals. By AT&T U versus TV. Check availability. 1-800-PICK-AT&T. Rethink Possible. By Just for Men Auto Stop, the foolproof way to get rid of gray. And by Checkers. Feast on. So a double play ground ball wipes out Miami's hopes in the second. On to the third, 1-0. Nationals on top. And it's Taylor Jordan, starting pitcher, who leads it off with Bryce Harper, Anthony Rendon up here in the third.
It's a type of game, Rich, that both bullpens will be used if necessary because of the break. You're going to have guys who will get some time off. Chad Qualls is not with the club. He went home. His wife is giving birth. He will join the club after the break. Kevin Slowey's available in the bullpen.
Alvarez, a full-out dive, and he throws to first to get the out. And that brings up Bryce Harper. And it also brings up our AT&T Uverse poll question. Who's going to win the All-Star game? Hashtag NL Stars, hashtag AL Stars. Just blast it out and be a part on Twitter. Harper bounced to second on the first pitch he saw. 0 for 7 is Harper in this series.
Bryce Harper will be on his way to the All-Star game. He'll also be participating in the home run hitting contest.
With the guy that spent a good chunk of time on the DL with bursitis in his knee. Liner, that's well hit, and that's getting over the head. Wow. Off the Stanley side. Ozuna fields it. That ball had Stanton-like rise on it and carry all the way to the wall in right center field.
I'll tell you what, other than Stanton, I don't know if I've seen a ball hit this hard. It was still going up when it hit the Stanley sign out there just right of center field. This ball was crushed by Bryce Harper. An absolute bullet. And you know what? Ozuna was thinking about throwing him out at second base, except he bobbled it a little bit.
Harper's 9th double this season. Anthony Rendon now. Rendon lined out to first. Alvarez bends one and gets a strike.
This, Rich, has really been the struggle for the Nationals in this series. 1 for 17 with runners in scoring position. 0 for the last 15.
If you want to go further back on this road trip, which started in Philly, 2 for 36.
Wow.
One of the things we're able to track this year is the speed off the bat. 109. That is scorching. The fastest ball ever recorded off the bat, and this is over the last 5 or 6 years, was Giancarlo Stanton's home run against Jamie Moyer from last year. 122 miles per hour. Which, had it not hit the scoreboard and broken the scoreboard in left field, may still be going somewhere.
You watch Alvarez, you see fastballs, you see the breaking ball. He has a changeup.
Fastball, that's lined to center. Ozuna goes back. Harper's tagging on his way to third, and he's going to get there. You love the way Bryce Harper plays the game.
Even that play for Ozuna, because the ball was hit so well, he didn't have time to kind of drift back on it, then get momentum going toward third. Even making this catch the way he did, he still came up and made a strong one-hop, perfect throw to third base. And I agree with you about watching Harper play.
Marlins and Brewers will come to you on Friday night from the land of beer, sausage, brats, cheese,
More sausage.
and Ryan Braun. Maybe Zimmerman.
And more cheese.
Fastball to Zimmerman. Zimmerman hit a smash off the glove of Alvarez, then rolled out Dietrich's direction. He was able to make the play at first. One and one. Harper already dirty from head to toe. Zimmerman, a noted fish killer, although 2 for 11 in this series. He's in a bit of a slide, 3 for his last 22. Zimmerman, of course, has been the face of the Nationals for some time, almost since he was taken in the 2005 draft.
It's amazing. This is his 8th year in the major leagues. He's had a couple of those years bothered with injuries, but when he's healthy, he's going to do what he did last year. 25 home runs, 95 RBIs. He's had 100 RBIs a couple of times.
And he's going to be with the Nationals for some time. He is signed through 2020. Ball 4. Zimmerman walks. He'll join Harper on base, who's over at third. And now Alvarez has to get Adam LaRoche, who singled his first time up.
Yeah, and you also have to deal with the guy who's hit really well for the Nationals this year, runners in scoring position. Adam LaRoche at 328. So you lose the righty-righty matchup, and you go against a left-hander who's done well in these situations.
Little afternoon baseball here in Miami, finishing off the first half, finishing off a 3-game series. LaRoche takes a strike. Big year last year for LaRoche.
Last year, pitching for the Toronto Blue Jays, Henderson Alvarez was 9-14. Where he struggled was getting left-handers. Left-handers hit over 300 against him.
High fly ball center field. Ozuna is there, and Washington leaves runners at the corners. Nationals up 1-0.
bottom of the third inning. We didn't have the game on television yesterday, but did want to tell you that Colin Moran was out here. First-round pick signing on Friday. We had a chance to talk with him, and yesterday had to be a lot of fun for him because he got a chance to swing at Marlins Park for the first time. Got the bat ready, took a little BP, hit a home run. All reports said good line drives, so didn't look too nervous, sprayed it around the field, and played third base a little bit, took some ground balls from infield coach Perry Hill. Got a chance to just loosen up a little bit. What's up next for him? He's off to Single A Greensboro. Talking to Larry Beinfest before the game, he said he'll join the team in Kannapolis to take on the Intimidators. They're also a North Carolina-based team in the low A level, and they'll probably just join the team and may play as soon as tomorrow. If not, he'll join the Grasshoppers later in the week for action, but just get him acclimated a little bit for a day or two, and he'll be in the lineup pretty soon. It's possible he could get called up if he does well to maybe as high as Single A Jupiter by the end of the year, and he does have an invitation for spring training next year, guys. Marlins have had 22 third basemen since the beginning of the 2008 season.
Every team seems to have one position where they've not been able to fill that spot. Jeff Mathis, then Alvarez and Pierre. Mathis found a couple hits out in right center field last night.
They walked a couple of times, so Mathis had a good game, threw a couple of runners out.
He's got another hit here. Bangs it into center field. A guy that's known for his defense. As you pointed out earlier in the telecast, his numbers for throwing out runners astounding.
He has such a quick release with accuracy. Mathis on the year 13 out of 21 in throwing runners out. This is a good play too on the bunt. On the run, didn't really have a chance to set. Still made a good throw to second base.
And a leadoff single important because it allows Alvarez, not an accomplished hitter, to attempt a bunt. And he puts down a good one.
Oh, nice job.
And so Alvarez, who spent his time certainly over in Toronto's organization, not handling the bat a whole lot, gives Pierre and Polanco a chance to tie this game.
I think in the game in Atlanta, Rich, you and I were talking to Mike Redmond the next day. There was a situation where he took the bunt off because Alvarez was so inexperienced with a bat in his hand. He figured he'd have as good a chance with him swinging. But a nice job there. It looks like he's done a little practice.
Pierre now bounced to short back in the first. Outfield not real deep for Pierre, which could present a challenge on a base hit where Mathis to try to score. We talked about it for a team that is awful defensively right now. The Nationals are last in the National League in fielding percentage. They have a pretty good defensive outfield. Denard Span's numbers and a lot of different zone rating, range factor, all very, very good. You've got a Harper, a plus arm in left, Worth, a plus arm in right. But there they are, the Nationals, the Dodgers, and the Giants.
We have 25 errors between Zimmerman and Desmond on the left side of your infield. But the outfield, yeah, I agree, very good, very strong out there.
Two 2-0 to Pierre. Pierre flips it out to left, and because Harper was playing so shallow, he's able to get right there and make the catch. So Polanco with 2 outs. Placido Polanco like just about everybody wearing a Marlins jersey. Had an awful April and May at the plate, a better June, and Polanco's had a nice July.
He has also had a terrific run against the Nationals in his career. You have guys like Polanco and Juan Pierre. They've played so long. Placido Polanco has over 430 at-bats against the Nationals in his career and an average of 321. Juan Pierre over 460 at-bats against the Nats. And JP over 315.
And some of those at-bats have got to be for both against the Expos, right?
Yes. And of course, Giancarlo, 16 career home runs against the Nationals.
You're feeling pretty good about the souvenir. Pitch is in. There's Mathis, a leadoff single. Alvarez pushed him with a bunt into scoring position. 2 outs. And Taylor Jordan gets a strike.
Dropped a breaking ball in for strike 2. Tell you a guy who dropped a few breaking balls in last night was Tim Lincecum.
Jordan knew he was going to be pitching. Go ahead on the Lincecum.
No, he just threw a no-hitter. There's a look. That pitch was up.
And that was in.
So was that one, up and in with the fastball. And I guarantee he would have rather faced Polanco than have to go after Giancarlo now. And not even close with that fastball.
Yeah, Tim Lincecum in San Diego. An old-fashioned no-hitter.
Yeah, he struck out 13, and he threw 148 pitches.
So first and second, and here is Stanton, who struck out his first time up. And Jordan misses high with a breaking ball.
Giancarlo with 10 home runs this year. 8 have been hit here at Marlins Park. The rest of the team has hit 12 at home.
Jordan catches the corner. Ball and a strike. Well, he's made 2 pretty nice pitches. Counts 1-1. Stanton, a rocket ground ball into left field, base hit. Stop sign is up. And running into it out at third is Polanco. He's in trouble. Rundown is on. Mathis is the runner at third. Polanco in a rundown. The throw home. Now they'll run Mathis back to third. Mathis tries to avoid a tag, and he doesn't. And the Marlins botch that one. Bryce Harper with a strong throw. Joe Espada knew it, put the stop sign up. It's still 1-0. they've come up empty in both times. Here's the play, Tommy.
Well, first of all, the ball's hit really hard. Just as Harper has the ball before Mathis got to third. So the stop sign's put on because Harper's got one of the stronger arms you're going to see. Polanco had his head down. He saw the ball into left field. He never picked up the third base coach. Here comes Mathis. Watch Polanco. He's looking in left field. He never looks at Joe Espada. And Polanco's a smarter player than that. He knows better. But because the ball was hit so hard, you could see that Harper is feeling that ball just as Mathis was getting to third base. He would have had no chance to score. And Polanco knows it.
So the Marlins end up getting 2 hits, a hit batter, had a sacrifice successful, and no runs in that inning. And Henderson Alvarez back to work. Jason Worth, Ian Desmond, Denard Span. Nationals got their run in the second on an RBI double by Span. Miami had first and third in the second with 1 out, and Greg Dobbs bounced into a double play. So 2 opportunities for the Marlins and no runs.
We talk about some of those hard topspin type ground balls that Stanton hits. Sometimes he gets penalized by hitting him too hard. It got to Harper so quickly in left field. Maybe in a central cut field, be a little different, a little slower grass. But you also factor that in, the quick grass here.
Well, we had just spent a good deal of time talking about the arms in the outfield. And Harper, I may want to amend my plus arm into a plus plus.
Well, he's played some right field. He's got a right fielder's arm in left field.
He's played some center field too. He can play all 3. Worth lines it to right. Stanton over and dives. Did he not get it? Picked it up on his knees. Fires to second and out at second. Yeah, from his knees, Stanton throws out Worth.
Talking about plus arms. How about a little knee strength? It's a good effort. This ball just kept sinking away, but Giancarlo stays with it and then comes up alertly from his knees right to Echeverria. Great effort by Stanton.
That's a terrific catch and tag by Echeverria as well. He had to dive to the bag to get the runner. Worth gets a single. And here's Desmond with 1 out and nobody on.
The key, though, and again with Kids Sunday, is to just try to remind youngsters who play the game. In Stanton's case, made a good effort, and the ball just trickled away from him, but he didn't give up on it. And Tootie the Fruity loved that play as well as anybody.
What would a Kid Sunday be without Tootie the Fruity?
I don't know. But don't give up on a play. If you don't make the initial play and the ball just trickles away, stay on it. Stay with it. Stanton did that.
Ground ball right through Alvarez and into center field. Desmond has a hit. Next Marlins watch party is an all-star watch party. Citi Field is the site, and the watch party is at the Lost Weekend on Miami Beach. You can win prizes, tickets, and more. Billy and the Energy team will be there, and it all starts at 7:30 on Tuesday night. It's presented by Coors at the Lost Weekend in Miami Beach. Denard Span with Desmond, the runner, at first. Nationals have barreled some balls up against Alvarez today. Quick throw, and Desmond gets back.
Get the A move, then you get the C move.
Marlins headed to Milwaukee to open up the second half. Milwaukee and Colorado. That's a pretty good move right there. That's close. You could see emphatically Mike Estabrook calling him safe.
Yeah, Alvarez has some quick feet.
The Nationals open their second half with a long homestand with one of the hottest teams going, the Dodgers, for 3. Another good team, Pittsburgh, and then the Mets.
Interesting matchup against the Dodgers. Of course, the Dodgers will be in a position to try to continue the momentum they have going right now, and the Nationals will try to, on that homestand, pick things up.
Liner into right center field, base hit. Up with the ball is Stanton. Desmond just saw that throw from his knees, so he figures if he's on his feet, he'll probably have an even stronger arm. He doesn't try third. He'll hold at second.
Span got a change up there, and boy, you think about how this inning would be if not for that throw getting Worth at second base. Nationals have 3 consecutive hits.
Got Wilson Ramos in the 8th spot. He bounced to short his first time up. Arizona's won 3 in a row to keep the Dodgers in second place. The Dodgers are 2.5 back and over 500 now, 47 and 46. Liner to right, Stanton right in his tracks, makes the catch. 2 outs.
Anderson Alvarez has not fooled anybody this inning. There have been some balls hit hard.
Taylor Jordan, the pitcher, comes up. In the Central, the Pirates have run off 3 in a row and gotten themselves back into a tie with the Cardinals for first place. Both teams at 56 and 36. The Pirates trail the Mets 3-0 in the bottom of the second right now. And the Cardinals tonight are in Chicago to face the Cubs.
Mets jumped on Garrett Cole. 4 hits and 3 runs early.
Soft one into right field. Runner coming home. Stanton up with it. Fires to the plate. Mathis the tag. Got him! Wow! What an inning from Giancarlo Stanton. Play at the plate. Mathis with the block. Stanton throws out 2 in the 4th. The entire fourth inning has been one of defense. Here's the final play.
If you can, you pick up the ball and then you keep your momentum going forward. Just like that. Stanton does that. All the momentum. The throw is low enough. And look at how Mathis blocks the plate. Absolutely perfect. The other thing, if you can, I know Niners talked about this, as an outfielder, and you're charging a ball, if you can field it on your glove side, because by the time you get it up to throw, you're in the right position. You haven't taken too many steps. So if you can pick that ball off your glove side, if you're a right-handed thrower, be off your left foot, and then come up and make the throw as Stanton did.
The more you see Jeff Mathis play, the more you understand why, as a career hitter who has an average under 200, he's been in the big leagues as long as he's been. There's a ground ball in the left field, and Marcell Ozuna is 2 for 2. Well, both teams have had their opportunities to score more than just the one run that's been scored in the game, and Ozuna leads off the fourth with a hit. Our Toyota trend. Since the 31st of May, at home, the Marlins have the best record in the National League.
Well, that last inning for the Nationals, they had 4 base hits. They're all hit well. Had a line drive out, and they did not score.
Ozuna away from first. Dietrich hit the liner that was at first called fair and looked like a double, but then was overruled by the home plate umpire, Alan Porter. To right, that ball's hit well. Worth looks up and it's gone. A 2-run shot for Derek Dietrich.
Not going to overrule that one.
When Dietrich lost his double, we said, what a turn of events. Well, now with the 2 Stanton throws and that homer, what a turn of events.
Derek Dietrich with his 9th home run of the year. We've seen different styles of home runs from him. This one, a low line drive about 3 or 4 rows back. And just like that, the Marlins take the lead.
Here's Echeverria, and he takes a strike.
So the young guys, Ozuna, Dietrich, get used to seeing that.
Ozuna, a couple hits. Dietrich, his 9th home run. And a 2-1 lead in the bottom of the 4th. Echeverria overswinging there. We haven't seen too much of that in the last month out of Echeverria.
No, what I really liked was his base hit last time. Teams have worked him away, and he's got a lot of base hits the other way. But in the second inning, Jordan came in, and he turned on and got a base hit between third and short. Dietrich's had 3 of his 9 home runs here at Marlins Park.
And the 24-year-old out of Merritt Island, Taylor Jordan, finds himself behind in the ball game.
Kind of interesting. He actually attended Indian River Community College, but he never pitched there. Then he went on to Brevard Community College.
Two and two. Dobbs waits on deck. Still nobody out. Bottom of the fourth. Echeverria cranks one into left field. My goodness, is he hot. Well over 400 in July. Echeverria, and again, Tommy pulling the ball and with authority. This copyrighted telecast, speak of authority, is presented by the authority of the Miami Marlins. May not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form. Accounts, descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of the Miami Marlins.
And that was with authority.
Blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
Here comes Steve McCatty.
Pitching coach Steve McCatty with the stroll to the mound. Nobody warming up in the Nationals bullpen, but some balls have been hit hard in this inning, as they were in the top of the inning for the Nationals.
But no kidding. All-Star break starts as soon as this one is over. All-Star game starts on Fox on Tuesday night at 7:30 Eastern. Live from New York, it's Tuesday night, the All-Star game. Jose Fernandez, very nice start last night. And a great reaction to the Stanton home run that tied the ball game in the ninth. Fernandez had a very similar reaction when Steve Cishek struck out a pair to work out of trouble in the top of the 10th last night. There's a lot of starting pitchers that would have iced, showered, and would be in street clothes or sweats at that point.
Maybe in the clubhouse watching the last few innings. And as you and I have talked about it, Rich, I think it rubs off on the other pitchers as well.
I think it rubs off on the whole team, because he doesn't stay with just the group of pitchers. Roller up the middle, flip there, and an out there, and Dobbs has bounced into 2 double plays. Steve Cishek gave up a couple of hits, worked himself into a jam in a 1-1 game in the 10th, and then he had to get Scott Hairston. He got him. He had to get Ryan Zimmerman. He got him.
And you know what? Players, teammates, the other pitchers, the other guys, they know that it's genuine. It's not, as you used to hear the term, that's just false hustle. They know it's genuine from Jose.
Mathis, a ground ball. Zimmerman on the run, fires to first in time. Marlins get a couple, and it's rookie Derek Dietrich, who can juggle and can homer. Honda. Visit your Honda dealer for great lease and finance deals on fuel-efficient Hondas. By Blue Bell Ice Cream, celebrating National Ice Cream Month in July. Try our newest flavor, Rock Slide Brownie, and celebrate with us today. And by Coventry Healthcare of Florida, lighting the way to better health. On a Kids Sunday, this has been an entertaining ball game.
Yeah. Come on, smile. Wave. Okay. All right.
Both teams have had opportunities to score more runs than they have. The Marlins have 2. The Nationals have 1.
You would have to think, Rich, that the probably you could incorporate the 2 throws, the one throw to the plate by Giancarlo, a little more normal, but then the throw from his knees to get Worth. You'd have to think you might see that tonight in some of the various shows that show highlights around baseball.
We've seen some great throws in this ballgame. Stanton's 2, Harper's throw to the plate that ended up with a rundown play, Ozuna's throw to third, which did not get Harper, but still was an impressive one.
It's the second time in Stanton's career that he's had 2 assists in the same inning.
Is it his first assist from his knees?
First from his knees. That was like Benito Santiago.
Bryce Harper has doubled and bounced out. And his double was an absolute laser beam. A swing and a miss. And we apologize for the great audio that we have around home plate. Mark Butler, our audio technician, award-winning, critically acclaimed, and we're lucky to have him. And I think Mark is the guy that actually went out and strangled the cricket.
He was out here late the other night after the game.
One of those big hard hats with a light on it and an exterminator gun. Anthony Rendon. Liner into right center field. That's trouble. That's a hit. Stanton's not going to get it. This could be 3. Rendon racing for second, but Stanton got to it in time to get it in.
If you're a base runner today, you have to start questioning yourself if you think about an extra base.
Rendon has a real sweet swing as a right-handed hitter.
You hear the term also used, the quickness in his hands and wrists. How he's able to just get to pitches, drives the ball that way to not only right center but into left center. They really like Anthony Rendon.
Zimmerman. Rendon is just about a year and a half removed from college at Rice University.
Terrific program at Rice.
We saw Colin Moran here on Friday. He took batting practice yesterday. One of the things that's it's made it easier for scouts and easier for players is the change in the aluminum bat in college baseball 2-3 years ago, legislating it, trying to get away from the exit speeds and the danger. And so the aluminum bats, the composite bats that are now used in college, are very similar to wooden bats. I had a chance to talk to Mike Zunino, the Florida All-American, who was with the Seattle Mariners, and he said, here's a 1-1, a swing and a miss, that a good wood bat that he's able to get in the big leagues is better than the aluminum bat that he swung in college.
Yeah, I think what it really has helped, I think it's been twofold. It's helped pitchers. It's helped to be able to project how pitchers pitch. but also the hitters for scouts to project where they think those hitters will be, especially in the power numbers.
And I think it has allowed hitters in the last 2-3 years to get to the big leagues faster because there's not as big a transition period from aluminum to wood. Check swing, he went. Zimmerman couldn't hold it. Alvarez gets a much needed strikeout. And there are 2 outs here in the top of the 5th. Just for Man Auto Stop, foolproof stat. Largest slugging increase home road in 2013. Tommy, you noted that Stanton at home has been much, much better than the road. Look at Ryan Howard. You would expect it with Howard in that ballpark, maybe not Stanton in this ballpark. Or even Andres Torres.
How about Nate Scherholz? You would expect it at home.
Chopper to first. Dobbs has it, and he'll get to the bag himself and get the out. The Rendon double stays at second. Who doesn't like cotton candy?
SAP por Coventry Healthcare of Florida. 2-1 y ahora Álvarez iniciando aquí la quinta entrada, Cookie.
Sí, señor, y pichando muy bien en ese sentido, excepto por el cuadrangular.
I always love to just drop in on you guys.
See, you like to do that, yeah.
What's up, guys?
Hey.
How are you?
Hi, Tommy and Richie.
Hey, Cookie, have you ever seen an outfielder throw a guy out from his knees?
I think that's the first one I've ever seen, and I think Raul was mentioning about Benito Santiago. They used to throw from behind the plate that way to second base. That was a great play by Stanton. 2 assists in the same inning. I think it's great.
I don't think anyone's going to be running anymore this game, guys.
Anybody that's thinking about an extra base, they've seen some of the arms in this one.
I think the things that they're done, too, is that they have charged those balls very well, and I think that helps them in trying to get those guys out at the plate or trying to stand an extra base. Osuna has done a great job both in center field and right field, and now Stanton is trying to get even with him.
That was a great block, by the way, on Mathis. I mean, the positioning was excellent, and just to be able to, you saw that when Desmond slides at the plate, he almost like bounces back when his knees bent backwards. So Brantley, he's had this season, he hasn't been as consistent blocking the plate, and Mathis did a magnificent job.
And throwing out runners at second base, too. He's been like, what, 65%? Wow. That's amazing. Great defense, good pitching, gets you right there to the end.
That's true. That's true. What are you guys going to do over the All-Star break?
Well, I'm going to be watching it on television and enjoying to see if Fernandez can get into the game. And applaud him and hope that he does well to show everybody the kind of pitcher that he is.
Oh, I hope he does too.
Absolutely.
Cookie, can you give us a sense of what the Cuban population in Miami feels about Jose Fernandez? I mean, we don't get that perspective much in the papers and in the English media.
Well, I think first of all, they're very proud to see a Cuban player and knowing his history on how he got to the United States trying to escape from Cuba, and the way that he has performed in high school and then finally as a professional, and all of a sudden never even thinking that he was going to be in the big leagues. The Cuban population here are very proud of him, the way he had conducted himself, and not only what he has brought to the club as far as ability is concerned. I think it's the enthusiasm, the way that we see him act, the way we see him, how he stays after the game in the bench and cheering from his teammates, the way he goes out in the practice, the way he goes out in batting practice. I think we needed that, and I think Fernandez so far has really given us everything he got. I believe that this kid is very special.
We talked a little bit about that, Cookie, because it appears that all of that you said is enthusiasm. It appears that it's rubbed off on the team, too.
Well, I think that's the important part of it, that everybody's starting to really root for each other. You can see a little more enthusiasm that from the first 2 months of the season. It's a different ball club. There's no question about it. They have confidence now every time that any of our young pitchers go out to the man, especially when Fernandez comes over after maybe losing 2 or 3, it stops that losing streak. The other guys picked up, and then all of a sudden it's a succession of, exits, which is great for the ball club. And I think we're going to see a different ball club entirely from the second half on. No question about it.
Well said, Cookie. And Raul, you guys have a very restful All-Star break.
You too, guys.
Awesome, you guys. Same for you.
Shoot 68, Tom.
Well, that's asking a little too much.
All right. Have a good one, guys.
All right, thank you. Polanco, a bouncer up the middle, and it escapes the glove of Desmond. Placido Polanco is aboard, and importantly, that brings Giancarlo Stanton to the plate with a runner at first. 2 outs here in the bottom of the 5th inning. If you're just joining us, Derek Dietrich with a 2-run homer as the 2 runs for the Marlins. The Nationals got an RBI double from Denard Span. Both teams have had base running mistakes. Both teams have had runners thrown out trying to score.
It's amazing. There have been 16 hits in this game, and just 3 runs have scored.
Stanton takes a breaking ball for a strike. Giancarlo Stanton Walkling Day. There's a lot of the big Giancarlo Walklings hanging around the park.
A lot of outfielders will be clinging onto the walls when he comes up to hit.
I want to ask our crack staff to research to see how many players have homered on their Walkling Day, but this is the first Walkling Day that I've heard of. At least in Marlins history, right? I mean,
it has happened on Bobblehead Day, but you're right. I don't think on Walkling Day it's happened.
0-2. I don't think the Walkling holds as much gravity as, say, the Bobblehead does. Stanton had the great top of the 4th defensively, where on a ball towards the line, he scrambled and on his knees threw out Jason Worth. And then he ended the inning by throwing out Ian Desmond on a base hit from Taylor Jordan. Swings and misses. Jordan gets him on a nasty breaking ball. So 5 innings have passed. Miami has a 2-1 lead. you can join the Miami Marlins fan club for just $20. Your membership includes a Marlins fan club t-shirt, fan club drawstring bag, 2 free ticket vouchers to a Marlins game, and $10 off at Duffy's Sports Grill. 1-877-MARLINS, or go to marlins.com/fan club, and you can sign up today. Rich Waltz along with Tommy Hutton here at Marlins Park. The Fish trying to finish off the first half with a sweep of the Washington Nationals and get their first 4-game win streak of the season. Jason Worth, Ian Desmond, Denard Span. And Worth takes a breaking ball for a strike. Worth was an all-star back in 2009, and there have been today a few additions to the all-star rosters. Worth goes down in a heap as he fouled that one off his foot, and he's in great pain. Jeff Locke of Pittsburgh is out. He's been nicked up a bit, so he's unavailable to pitch. So his teammate Mark Melancon is right off the top of the foot. Melancon has been an outstanding setup man for Jason Grilli, and Melancon is an all-star now. Jordan Zimmerman of the Nationals, he is unavailable to pitch.
By the way, you have to be real careful with this play. That's how Ben Revere broke a bone in his foot on a foul ball, just like that.
With Zimmerman out, Sergio Romo of the Giants has been added. And in the American League, since Justin Verlander started today, he can't pitch in the All-Star game. So Chris Tillman of Baltimore has been named as well. Freddie Freeman of the Braves is now hurt, and he's going to miss the All-Star game. He jammed his left thumb.
Wow, the Braves losing B.J. Upton, Freddie Freeman, and Jason Hayward to injuries. The ironic part about that, the Freeman injury, who was voted in by the fans, Yasiel Puig with the Dodgers, he had to come out of a game the other night and did not play last night. He's had an ongoing hip problem.
Freeman on a play last night at first had to reach into the runner and jammed his thumb. He finished the game, but is not in the lineup today. So there'll be someone else named to the National League.
But two guys who just continue, 2 All-Stars in the American League who are just unbelievable. Chris Davis, the Orioles, is homered today again, has 4 RBIs. The other day when Miguel Cabrera hit his 30th home run, he became the first player ever in the history to have 30 home runs or more and 90 RBIs and more before the All-Star break. All of a sudden now Chris Davis has 37 home runs and 93 RBIs. So 2 players this year have surpassed those numbers. So I would say the American League right now has the edge at the corners in the game.
Worth, boy, Alvarez spent that whole AB right in on the hands of Jason Worth. We check in with Craig Minervini.
Well, Rich, thank you very much. I'm with Alyssa Vanover from the Breakthrough Miami, which is a great group that gets together some 1,100 students coming to the coming school year for really enrichment programs.
Right. 5th grade through 12th grade. They come from all over Miami-Dade County.
And you got a big group here today, and you're also using baseball as one of the ways to teach them. And this is something they do during the school year? For school?
We have a 6-week summer institute, and then we bring them in for 14 Saturdays during the school year.
And I saw the numbers last year. 100% of these kids would graduate high school. 98% went to college, either 2 or 4 years. That's very impressive.
Yes, it's far higher than normal for this kind of group of kids.
What's the idea of the program?
The idea of the program is to take great, motivated kids, give them extra opportunities to learn and improve their skills, and make sure they all get into college.
All right, special charity for the Marlins, and you guys can hold up. Who's holding our? What is your name, Mr. Fox?
My name is Kendall.
Kendall, all right. He's got the Fox logo. And look at this check, guys. Can you hold that up?
Oh, God.
How much money is on that?
25.
Keep going.
25 million?
25 million. No, but the math course is still coming. 25,000.
25,000?
Not bad. Now, how will that help the program?
It's amazing what we do in terms of providing extra opportunities for these kids. We hire intern teachers in the summer.
It sounds great. Good luck to you as we get the quick out there. 25,000 going to Miami. Breakthrough Miami. We'll be back with more in a moment.
Fox Sports 1's coming up. America's new 24-hour sports network. Fox Sports 1 will be your home for great live sports, all the news and highlights you want, shows and specials that only Fox could bring you. Fox Sports 1, coming August 17th. Tough to get the octopus out of here, Tommy, without him damaging himself or
it's a little tough.
Fans.
Yeah, it's a little tough for him to get up the runway. Kids love him. I think the kids love the crab. His energy, his enthusiasm. It's all for the kids, though,
Rich. Here's Ozuna, and he pops this one up on the infield. That almost hit a bird. That ball almost hit a bird. There was a bird flying right in that flight path.
That's what LaRoche is looking at.
Yeah. Here's the freeze cam, Rich. Giancarlo Stanton from his knees. And it's the terrific throw. It's brought to you by the Frostproof Coors Light freeze cam.
You're not going to see that very often. By the way, we just haven't had an opportunity to talk a whole lot about Marcell Ozuna. Everybody's swinging at the first pitch now. Because Ozuna 3 at-bats. He has 2 hits, but he's hit the first pitch every time. But we haven't had a chance to just show how he continues to be right there in the top 3, top 5, and just about every rookie category as we get ready for the All-Star break. So it'll be a nice break for Marcell. Relax, refresh himself, refresh the legs, and get ready for part 2.
Echeverria has 2 hits. 5 multi-hit games in his last 6. And nobody as a Marlin has more multi-hit games this year than Echeverria.
That'd be a great trivia. I don't think anybody would get that.
He's brought his average all the way up to 242. And we've talked about how good he's been in July at the plate. Hanley Ramirez has been overshadowed by Yasiel Puig.
I would go the other way around. Hanley's had better numbers than Puig in the month, but Hanley's not a rookie.
Counts 2-2. See, he's run out of players to talk to. Now he's talking to trainers.
Yeah, he's got Sean Cunningham. He's got his ear.
The thing about Jose Fernandez is there is no one he won't talk to.
Just having a nice conversation in the clubhouse today with our good friend Dan Le Batard.
If you ever listen to the Dan Le Batard show, the interview that Fernandez did with Le Batard this week was incredible. One of the things I learned from that interview that I did not know was that when he got to high school in Tampa and went out for the baseball team, they did not know he played baseball. He had to try out as a sophomore. And he was in the last group, and once they saw him throw 93 miles an hour, he was on the team. A 1-2-3-6, 2-1 Miami. A lot has happened for a 2-1 game. Little camera 12 for the kids. Looks like the Clevelander has a nice group. Along with Craig Minervini, Frank Fort, Tommy Hutton, Rich Waltz with you. It's a 2-1 ball game into the 7th. And this is as far as Henderson Alvarez has been able to get as a Marlin. Echeverria makes a nice play on Wilson Ramos's tapper.
And you know what, Rich, 84 pitches too, so he's looking really good here in the 7th and has pitched much better since he got a lot of help in that 4th inning when the Nationals got those 4 hits. The Marlins made some tremendous plays, or I should say Giancarlo made some great plays. Since that 4th inning, he's given up just 1 base hit, pitched much better.
Steve Lombardozzi is going to take the at-bat. Taylor Jordan goes 6 innings on the mound for the Nationals. And Jordan pitches well, gives up 2 runs, 8 hits. Ian Kroll for the Nationals.
Yeah, I would think the Nationals would be pleased at the job that Jordan did today.
To center, Ozuna backtracking, and he makes the catch. All-Star Game is coming up on Tuesday, and if you're not Jose Fernandez or his mom, you're going to watch it on television. Oh, my bad. Not the All-Star Game watch party, but the Brewers and Marlins watch party. The Batting Cage Sports Bar in Miami. It's Sunday the 21st, a 2:10 start. That's the next Marlins watch party. I was fixated on the All-Star Game watch party.
We'll be able to watch that one. See, we'll be able to watch that one.
The Batting Cage Sports Bar is right next to Marlins Park. And that's Marlins and Brewers next Sunday at 2:10. Tommy, you'll be able to watch that ball game. You're taking the weekend off in Milwaukee. Preston Wilson will join us. A.J. Ramos in Miami's pen.
Tell Preston to have a brat, a little secret sauce for me. And I will see you in Denver.
Yes, you will.
But I'll be in Colorado.
Marlins will be in Denver for 4 ball games. Monday night, Tuesday night, Wednesday night, Thursday afternoon. Crack Staff is getting more mileage out of that Fox balloon.
Yeah, it's there's only one of those too.
Oh, crap.
Did Tootie the Fruity make that balloon?
No, she made that balloon, Tommy. Here's the 3-2. Breaking ball misses in, just in. Alvarez wanted it. Harper took it. And with 2 outs, a walk. And that brings up Anthony Rendon.
That was inside. Pitch number 6.
Rendon's had some good swings today. He's lined out, doubled, flied to center.
By the way, you saw that shot of Dan Jennings loosening up. He had a nice 8th inning last night.
Marlins bullpen was solid. Ryan Webb, Jennings, Ramos. Cishek was the one that ran into difficulties when he gave up a couple of hits and had to strike out 2 to get out of the 10th without giving up a run.
Yeah, Webb, Jennings, and Ramos, 3 innings, gave up just 1 hit, no runs. Of course, the Marlins saw Storn, who was very good. Tyler Clippard, who was always good. Got the big home run from Stanton off Soriano.
Davey Johnson was able to map it out just as he would like.
That was the first home run allowed by Soriano since April 9th.
Did you see the note on the home run? A 9th inning home run to tie a game in a 1-0 game. It's only the 2nd time it's happened in franchise history. Only the 2nd time. The only other time was '96. Jeff Conine against Billy Wagner.
So there have been other games that have been tied in the 9th inning, but not 1-0 deficits.
Right. And in that ball game in which Conine tied it, Devon White won it as the next batter with a walk-off home run. Let's check in with Craig Minervini. Craig?
Rich, there was another second time. This was another bizarre, the way the game ended. It's only the second time the Marlins have won on a fielder's choice. There was a ground out in August of 2002 against Colorado. Ironically, the leadoff hitter in that inning was Mike Redmond. Homer Bush would pinch run for him, and Bush would score on an Encarnacion ground out. Only the second time ever the Marlins have won on the fielder's choice.
That's trouble because Harper was running and Pierre can't throw, and so Harper is going to score easily. And Anthony Rendon pulls the ball down the left field line, and the Nationals have tied it 2-2.
I know, just seeing Rendon a couple of games, he didn't play last night. He has impressed us with his swings. Hit the ball well every time today, and you're right, with Harper on the move, no chance that there was going to be a play at the plate at all. Trent Jewett, their third base coach, waves him in all the way. So after all the good innings and pitching so well, just because the Marlins haven't been able to add on, just like that, it's a 2-2 tie.
And Alvarez isn't going to face Zimmerman. Redmond has seen enough. Alvarez, who with 2 outs walked Harper, just can't finish here in the 7th. And Mike Redmond with a Metro PCS call to the bullpen. A.J. Ramos in to face Ryan Zimmerman. Anthony Rendon, the rookie second baseman of the Nationals, has tied the game with his second double of the ball game. 6 2/3 from Henderson Alvarez.
And certainly not an easy assignment for Ramos, a guy who we have talked about this entire series, has gotten big hit after big hit against the Marlins in his career.
Zimmerman has a couple of hits in this series, but none today. Six 2/3 for Alvarez, 9 hits, a pair of walks, 3 strikeouts, 98 pitches. Drew Storen is up. Ian Kroll, the lefty, has been throwing for some time. You got a left-handed bat and Adam LaRoche waiting on deck. And Ramos misses with a 2-0 breaking ball. It's 3-0. Catches the corner. It's 3-1.
It's a pitch he has to be careful with.
Nationals 1 for 7 with a runner in scoring position today, and hits with men in scoring position, but tough to get on this road trip for the whole ball club. Ramos loses them, and now here comes LaRoche. Cholula Hot Sauce spotlight player is Adam LaRoche. His father won 68 games for 5 major league teams. His dad was an all-star twice. And LaRoche, always known as a good fielding first baseman, finally won his first Gold Glove last year.
Now, lefties have hit just .240 against A.J. Ramos, but all the home runs he's allowed 4 this year, have been to left-handed bats.
Rendon and Zimmerman. You look at this Nationals team: Harper, Zimmerman, LaRoche, Worth, Desmond, Span, even Rendon. Look at their rotation: Zimmerman, Strasburg. And then you scratch your head as to why they're 47 and 47.
They've had a lot of problems in their 4 and 5 starters winning games. When Zimmerman and Strasburg and Gio Gonzalez start, Davey Johnson's seen his club play much better.
Yeah, Ross Detweiler, Dan Herron combined are 6 and 17. Sore neck will keep Zimmerman out of the All-Star game. Chuck Hernandez, Mike Redmond.
Oh, up in the prospect.
Ramos walked Zimmerman. Now he's 3-1 on LaRoche. No one throwing in the Miami pen, and Ramos walks the bases loaded. And so a buzz of concern going around the ballpark. Chuck Hernandez scoots out to the mound.
So he's one of the high wire acts of a reliever. He doesn't have the long opportunity to put it together like a starting pitcher. And now with the bases loaded, Ramos has to quickly put it together. And Chuck may have seen something that he picked up in his delivery.
So while Hernandez is out on the mound, Redmond is the one that's calling the bullpen. And all of a sudden there's a flurry of activity. You've got Worth and Desmond, the next 2 hitters. Slowey is the next to get up and throw, but it looks like someone else is on his way up there as well. The bullpen doesn't seem to be in any hurry right now.
They got a couple of right-handed bats due up.
So Worth and Ramos. Worth, you could hear muttering to Alan Porty and not like that call.
A little less muttering than Bryce Harper last night,
which was costly in the end for the Nationals. That one fouled back and out of play. So A.J. Ramos comes out of the pen. The Nationals have tied it on an Anthony Rendon double. Ramos walks Zimmerman, walks LaRoche. Bags are loaded. And now Dan Jennings joins Kevin Slowey in the pen. Ramos ready. 0-2.
Well, the key, Rich, after walking Zimmerman and then LaRoche, after the visit from Chuck Hernandez, Ramos got ahead 0-2.
Mike Redmond and the Fish trying to get their first 4-game win streak of the season, and the Nationals trying to prevent a 3-game sweep. Misses away.
Well, 0-2. He tried a couple of breaking pitches, and Worth wasn't biting.
Ian Desmond waits on deck. This was a Henderson Alvarez start, 6 2/3 innings. Two to Worth. Driven left center field. That ball's deep. Ozuna races back, and he's there, and he makes the catch. And Ramos gets out of the seventh inning stretch in Miami in a 2-2 game. And the Marlins finishing off the first half, headed into the All-Star break. AT&T U-verse rewind. You heard Tommy Hutton talking about Tim Lincecum and his no-hitter last night. He had some terrific defense behind him.
Yeah, look at Kung Fu Panda with a nice play, Pablo Sandoval. But the play of the night was made by Hunter Pence in right field. Diving catch. Lincecum loved it. So did Pence. So did the Giants. Pence also had 5 RBIs in that game to help the offense. 148th pitch was a splitter, a fly ball to left.
His first no-hitter. Marlins Park on a kid's Sunday.
Also had 13 strikeouts in that game for Lincecum.
The last time you and I saw a pitcher throw 148 pitches, wasn't it as a Washington National, Livan Hernandez?
Yeah.
In Washington against the Marlins.
I thought you were going to say the last time we saw a no-hitter in San Diego was A.J. Burnett. That was a little before you.
That was a little before my time.
There's a no-hitter. Yeah, Lincecum's done a little bit of everything. It was only his 5th win. I mean, he's had up and down games. He's had good games. He's had poor games. But Buster Posey, 48th catcher with multi no-hitters. He had the Matt Cain perfect game.
Well, the Nationals got into the Marlins bullpen, and the Marlins are into the Nationals pen. Ian Kroll comes out of the pen, and he walks right into Greg Dobbs.
You would expect maybe just for the one hitter, but we don't know.
One of the luxuries that both managers have is that they've got a good spell of time off, 4 days off for the All-Star break.
Mike Redmond saying that the club is going to have a workout on Thursday before the flight to Milwaukee. And Red going to spend a little time with a former teammate, with Mikey Lowell.
Dobbs pops one. Third base side foul. Ramos. Ooh, couldn't make the catch. He had a little more room than he thought. And he ended up having to try to make a backhand play with a catcher's glove. That's tough to do.
Yeah, right by that railing, but you're right. He did have another step. Of course, he's not going to get much help over in the Marlins dugout.
That's actually Mike Dunn in the Marlins pen. One-two to Dobbs. Breaking ball, and he lifts that one in the air. LaRoche over, and he reaches over the fans and makes the catch.
LaRoche does this as well as anybody. Look at the left hand down on the railing just to get a feel for where he is.
That'll bring up Jeff Mathis. On this Kids Sunday, we've been talking about defense. And I guess defense starts with a glove. Now, the glove that you've got is not necessarily the glove that you use, right?
No, it's not. This would be more of a pitcher's glove because you see it covered here. You don't want a pitcher to have the H-web, as they call it. This is Al Leiter's old glove. Nice. Al Leiter gave me this glove years ago so I could throw a little batting practice to my boys. See, Al Leiter.
Now, I've got two old gloves for you. This is my old glove.
You got an old gamer.
Yeah, this is my gamer from college, the GIC 6 or GIC 5 from Mizuno, a very popular glove. Mizuno was just getting into, especially with infielders, was a very popular glove.
Wilson made a very good infield glove.
Yeah, the 8-2000, yeah, I believe it was. Now, here's a really old one. This is my grandfather's glove.
That's an old first baseman
from like the 20s. Look at that. It's made by Dubrow.
And it's why back in the 20s they had to catch the ball with two hands.
Look at that. Isn't that something? we were cleaning out his garage in Los Angeles. I was a very young lad, and my father tossed me his baseball glove. And I threw it in the closet and kept it ever since.
So a lot of different kinds of gloves. But you know what? For the kids, get the one that feels good, comfortable. You don't want it too big. You want to be able to handle it.
That's right. You got to know how to use it too.
Yeah. Good hands.
Mathis battling right now with a count 3-2. Singled in the third, and he rips one into left field. His second hit of the ball game. Boy, 2 hits last night, 2 more today. Donovan Solano comes to the plate.
Now Jeff Mathis is getting close to, if not maybe taking his batting average over 200. And that hit is going to chase Kroll, the lefty. So Davey Johnson headed to the mound.
Mathis at 198 after the second hit. So Kroll is out, Storen is in. A Metro PCS call to the bullpen. Ball game. Miami has a runner at first and one out. And Washington dips back into their bullpen. Steve McCatty and Davey Johnson go to Drew Storen, who not only has a new haircut, but a new role this year. No longer the closer of the Nationals. Rafael Soriano has filled that role. And so Storen is here with one out in the seventh. Donovan Solano gets the pinch hitting assignment. You've got Jeff Mathis at first. Solano is a good hit and run guy. Mathis doesn't have the best of speed though at first.
But not bad. It's always a tough call for a pinch hitter when you call for that hit and run, but you also have to get a feel for the pitcher if he's throwing strikes, because you hate to put the hit and run on if you have a pitcher out there struggling throwing strikes.
Storen misses on his first pitch. Storen last night threw a scoreless seventh. He walked one and struck out one. Ball and a strike and an out. Solano 1 for 5 as a pinch hitter. How much of the drop of Storen came from the meltdown in Game 5?
I think a lot, but you know, you'd have to be able to see him for the whole year to see how his stuff is, how his command has been. But I would have to think it has had an effect.
He misses.
Thought he had
3-1.
it. He thought he had it.
That was on the black and barely at the letters, so he had a beef. But his ERA is close to 5. Counts 3-1. Solano fouls it back. Now with a count 3-2 and 1 out.
He's going to be going, I would expect. could have actually had a little run and hit on the 3-1 pitch.
Mathis is running. Solano fouls it back. Nationals had a 1-0 lead all the way into the top of the ninth last night. Giancarlo Stanton homering off of closer Rafael Soriano. And the Marlins walked off on Ed Lucas's fielder's choice. Today, going for a sweep, it's 2-2 here in the bottom of the seventh. Mathis not running. And Solano hits a soft liner into right field. It's going to fall for a hit. Mathis got a pretty good jump, but he'll hold it second. He read it well off the bat. He did not stop. But he's been paying attention because he's seen Worth make a terrific throw from that right field corner to hold a runner at third. And he's seen a lot of other guys make great throws from the outfield in this ballgame.
Good job by Solano to stay inside the ball. Every swing was trying to drive a ball through that right side. And with the jump, looking over the shoulder, but yes, realizing Worth got to it quickly, wasn't playing that deep with Solano, and also the fact that Worth has a strong arm.
Solano 2 for 6 now as a pinch hitter. Pierre, where the Marlins need to stay out of the double play. They've bounced into 2. Desmond and Rendon up the middle. Zimmerman looks bunt at third. Two and 0.
Storen up with a lot of stuff since he's come in the game.
There have been 19 hits in this ball game and only 4 runs scored.
19 hits, you usually see in an 8-6 game.
The Nationals have not walked a hitter, though. That's one of the things that has helped them. Giancarlo Stanton throwing out 2 Nationals has helped the Marlins pitching staff.
Yeah, the Nationals had that 4th inning. They got 4 hits in the inning.
Mathis and Solano, with Pierre sitting on a 2-1 pitch. Stanton is a couple hitters away. Pierre pulls one foul, and the count evens at 2-2. The Reds lead the Braves 5-2. That's in the 6th. Mets 3-1 over the Pirates, bottom of the 6th. Phillies 3-0 over the White Sox, 7th inning. Phillies trying to run down the Nationals. In fact, if the Phillies win this game, or win their game, and the Marlins win this game, the Phillies will be in 2nd place at the break. Two. Full count, 1 out. Pierre is a tough guy to strike out.
This is chancy call. This is why managers get paid good money because he's a tough guy to strike out. You don't have tremendous speed at second, but boy, would you hate to run yourself out of an inning. You have to throw that in the mix too.
Mathis, the runner at second. Runners not running, and Pierre fouls it back.
Talked about that Philly game. Another nice outing so far by Cole Hamels. 6 shutout innings. He had a good outing his last time out, and I'm sure the second half is going to be a lot different for Hamels than the first half.
Phillies are a game under 500. The Nationals are at an even 500. Three-two again, one out. Pierre lifts it in the air to left. So there are 2 outs. And an 0 for 4 day for Pierre. Here comes Polanco. Wilson Ramos out to talk to Drew Storen. Polanco singled his last time up.
And you don't have to go over the outfield arms. We certainly know Harper and Worth, left field and right field.
Saw Tim Lincecum throw a no-hitter last night. Justin Verlander took a no-hitter into the 7th inning against the Rangers. Mitch Moreland broke it up with a 2-out double.
Good for Tiger fans because Verlander hasn't had the Cy Young type year. He's thrown all right, but hasn't had those crazy numbers.
Max Scherzer has picked him up. Tigers lead that game 5-0. And it's now in the bottom of the 8th in Detroit.
Yeah, Scherzer lost last night to Texas. His first loss of the year. He's 13-1.
Here it's 2-2. Stanton hoping he gets a shot here in the 7th. Storen's out in front of Polanco 0-1. Polanco got clipped in the 3rd inning by a Taylor Jordan fastball. Almost got it there. One and two. Mitch Storen last year had a whip 0.99. So this was a guy that was a weapon for the Nationals. And now he finds himself as a setup man, one of a few setup men for Rafael Soriano. He's not even the 8th inning guy. And he strikes out Polanco. And so Drew Storen finishes the 7th to the 8th, still 2-2.
Well, it was Denard Span that got the Nationals on the scoreboard early. Good play at the plate, but just beating the throw was Adam LaRoche. In the 4th inning, Marlins took a lead. 2-run shot by Derek Dietrich, his 9th home run of the year. Just like that, 2-1. But Anthony Rendon, who has impressed us this series with a double down the line, driving in Bryce Harper. All the scoring you've seen, it's a 2-2 tie. Bullpens have been busy. And right now it's up to Mike Dunn.
Mike Dunn takes over for A.J. Ramos. He came in when Henderson Alvarez could not get through the 7th inning. All right, defense. You know, Perry Hill has coached a lot of Gold Glovers in his day, and he preaches the 6 F's: feet, field, funnel, footwork, fire, follow.
We like to illustrate. Feet are in position. Now you field. Look at how he funnels. Now, he had time here. Perry wouldn't be pleased at the glove tap, but the footwork gets him in position to throw. Fire and follow. And just like that, another chest-high throw from Adeiny Hechavarria.
Hill, as well as working on fundamentals in terms of fielding, is a proponent of moving his infielders to certain spots depending on hitters and pitcher matchups, to the point of actually putting marks on the ground for fielders to guide themselves by, or if on the road, pointing them and making sure that they're exactly where he wants them to be.
And I thought, Rich, that was an interesting conversation we had with Perry the last road trip about zone rating.
Well, one of the metrics, one of the many metrics now for defense, zone rating, ultimate zone rating, range factor, which measures what type of range fielders have. And Hill felt very strongly, especially in Hechavarria's case, and he's not one of the leaders in those categories, that he gets punished for being in the right place more than other infielders, so that he doesn't have to make the diving catches to his left or really range far to his right. I mean, he makes the plays when he has to go to his right, when he has to go to his left.
That would be an interesting study to go back. I don't know if you could do it.
There's a push bunt. That's going to be trouble. Dunn, fields, flips. Safe at first base.
Well, that's a good effort on both parts. Mike Dunn over with the flip out of the glove. And, boy, it looked like he had him. Now, it may not be the case, but it was a close play and good effort on both parts. There's the pick and the flip. Like he got him.
Yeah, it did.
He got him.
He's out.
Yeah, Dobbs is on. He comes off. Looks like he comes off a little bit, but he was not. He was on the bag when he caught the ball. Bang, bang play. Tough call for Mike Estabrook, and probably a tougher call because of the way it's flipped out of the glove that way. You don't hear the bang, bang. You don't hear the ball hitting the glove.
Because umpires, the mechanics of umpiring is you watch the bag and you listen for the glove.
He got him, but that's a tough call. But I was going to go back to Cal Ripken, who always took pride in how he positioned himself with the different hitters. Certainly he knew the league, he knew the players. Might not have had a great zone rating.
Bunt is popped up. Got a shot at second. Out at second. Because the bunt was in the air, that froze Desmond at first. And so Span forces Desmond out at second.
Anytime a bunt is in the air like that as a runner, you've got to pause just a little bit. Polanco knew that, so he knew he had to play at second base. So it's a fielder's choice. 5-6.
Wilson Ramos, an 0 for 3 day. And Dunn misses with a fastball. Mike Dunn's season so far. Dunn was not part of the bullpen parade last night, in which 4 pitchers each had a scoreless inning. Ryan Webb, Dan Jennings, A.J. Ramos, and then Steve Cishek. Dunn did pitch a scoreless inning on Friday night. Scott Hairston is on deck. Just a good live fastball there. Of course, it would not be a Marlins Nationals game without Tyler Clippard, who pitched a scoreless inning for the Nationals last night.
Going to get a little refreshment before he comes in the game.
.95 on the fastball. Looks like Tootie the Fruity, the balloon blowing clown. Among other things, he's very good at getting the different balloons. He got a Minnie Mouse balloon there. Dobbs with Dietrich, and Dietrich bails him out. It's a foul ball, and Dietrich makes a tough catch. Derek Dietrich, who on Marlins Live gave everybody a juggling lesson. It's amazing the variety of juggles that Dietrich was able to do. I think we saw him with up to 5 balls.
Oh, it's impressive. Very impressive. He could go on the road with Tootie the Fruity.
He did. No. Tootie the Fruity would open for Derek Dietrich. Dietrich said he has done chainsaws, but they were not going. They were smaller chainsaws, and they were not on at the time. He just wanted to see what the weight would be like.
That would not be in the contract. Might have to add that to the new players agreement. No chainsaw juggling. Wonder if he's ever worked on the. Remember the guy that used to juggle the apples and then bite out of the apple? Wonder if he's ever worked on that. I'll have to ask him.
We did find out that his mom's favorite is the yo-yo. Hairston getting the pinch hitting assignment. Nationals just acquired Hairston. And I guess it'll be interesting to see over the next 2 weeks if the Nationals acquire anybody else. Going into the season, you look at the Nationals, you think, man, they've got a complete team after winning 98 games last year and coming so close to getting to the National League Championship Series. What is Mike Rizzo shopping for? Maybe a 4th or a 5th starter. That one pulled foul.
Yeah, if you go through their lineup, they're certainly set at 3rd and 1st. Up the middle, they're in nice shape. Their outfield, with the addition of Hairston now, who can play a few positions. So, yeah, it'd have to be in the pitching area for Davey Johnson.
You know, the hard part, offensively, they've not been good. Their on-base percentage is just .299. Only the Marlins are lower in the National League.
And you know, sometimes, in some cases, you just improve by all of those players and some of those numbers you talked about just getting better the second half.
Well, maybe a whole second half of Anthony Rendon will help them offensively.
Keep Harper and Worth on the field.
That should help. Swing and a miss, and Hairston strikes out. Dunn gets through the 8th. There you go. A little Derek Dietrich for you. The Cold Hard Fact is brought to you by Frost Brewed and Coors Light. Day games at Marlins Park. Marlins are 3 over, 7-3 this season. As you peek out the rolling windows out to downtown Miami. Inside Marlins Park, 20,000 here. And now they watch Tyler Clippard climb aboard. And he settles in the bottom of the 8th. And his first assignment is Giancarlo Stanton with Marcell Ozuna and Derek Dietrich coming up. Clippard's been very good. The ERA right around 2. Spins one up there and misses.
He spins it. He's got the good fastball, the hard splitter. And he's durable. He's been a very durable, successful pitcher out of the bullpen for the Nats. Splitter's like his changeup.
Stanton, the big home run last night in the ninth to tie it and send it to extras. That was against Rafael Soriano. That misses in. He has yet to see a fastball. And Clippard on that all-time Marlin killer team. Look at what he's done in his career. He's good for 12, 14, 15 appearances against the Marlins every year. There was the fastball, and Stanton just missed it.
It's always tough to square up that fastball when you've seen 3 pitches and they've all been off speed. I mean, that was a good fastball to hit at a lot of the plate, but that was the first one that Stanton saw.
Up and in. Now it's 3-2.
Thing about Clippard, he can throw that changeup. He'll go changeup or fastball. He'll go either one of those two. If he goes fastball, he'll probably try to take it up in the strike zone.
Changeup, and Stanton pulled the trigger a little soon. That's going to reach the upper tank. I mean, way up in the upper tank.
Guy doesn't even have to hurry for the foul ball.
Let's see what he gets. 3-2 again. Swing and a miss at a breaking ball that was left up. Stanton strikes out. And there's one out, and here comes Marcell Ozuna. So it's Milwaukee on Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Denver from Monday through Thursday to face the Rockies.
I think Mike Redmond has said that Jacob Turner will pitch Friday in Milwaukee, but he hasn't gone beyond Turner as far as how he's going to set up the rotation.
One thing he has thought about is pushing Jose Fernandez back to the back of the rotation just to give him not only a little bit of a rest, but as well maybe extend his season a start by 4 or 5 more days if the Marlins do shut him down once he gets to 160 or so innings.
I mean, it's feasible. You could see Turner, Eovaldi, Alvarez. You could see them in Milwaukee. Maybe Jose Fernandez one of the games in Denver. But that's all up to Red and to Chuck Hernandez. They're going to discuss that.
Marlins have a real interesting August at home. They finished July with the Pirates and the Mets. The Cleveland Indians come in for 3, and then it's the tour of National League West teams that come through Miami. The Giants, 4 games with the Dodgers, and a 3-gamer with the Rockies. It's a good battle here. And it's 0-2.
Couple of hits today for Marcell Ozuna. Highest batting average. There's that Clippard changeup.
Pair of strikeouts for Clippard. Here's Derek Dietrich. Dietrich, a 2-run homer. Dietrich hit the ball in the second inning with Ozuna at first that was down the right field line that was originally called fair by the first base umpire Mike Estabrook. Steve Cishek in the bullpen. Alan Porter, the home plate umpire, though, overruled him. Estabrook had to kind of dart out of the way to make the call.
Yeah, I could hear that foul tip. A pitch that Dietrich has seen a lot of, and this is where he'll have to make his adjustments. He's seen a lot of off-speed stuff, a lot of change-ups, and he's facing a guy that has one of the best.
Dietrich fouls it back to the screen.
Don't think he'll get another fastball.
Is that the hitter's equivalent of counting cards?
Maybe. You say, okay, how many does he have left? What's he going to give me? There was the floater, the changeup. Actually, he's missed with it. The breaking ball he threw to Stanton was a pretty good pitch to hit. It was up a little bit. Giancarlo just swung through it.
Clippard's been so durable and dependable and valuable for the Nationals in their bullpen for a while. There's the floater again, and Dietrich lays off. So it's 2-2. The only 2 runs for Miami on Dietrich's home run in the 4th. 20 hits in the ball game, and just 2 runs apiece for these teams.
3 in a row.
Tripled up. And you were correct, Tommy. He did not see another fastball. Bryce Harper due up in the 9th. Is on Tuesday, and it's on Fox, and it's at 7:30, so there's no reason not to watch. Citi Field in New York. Big stage, bright lights, big city. Jose Fernandez, red carpet parade. Bryce Harper is in the starting lineup for the National League. And that transitions us right to the Twitter poll. This is a National League audience, apparently. AT&T Uverse Twitter poll.
Well, all of a sudden, Rich, the National League, after not having very much success during about a 10, 15-year period, National League now kind of goes in cycles. They've won 3 in a row.
Now, in the 70s and early 80s, wasn't it a National League?
It was a National League. Then the American League took over. And last year, the National League with an 8-0 win.
Top of the order, Dunn to face Harper. Marlins pen is ready.
Yeah, you would think Dunn is probably just going to be in here to pitch to Harper. Back in that era when the National League, back in the 70s, 60s, and 70s, that's when guys played pretty much the whole game. And, you know, part of me would like to see that. I don't, if it's going to mean something, I don't have to see everybody get in the game. You know, you make the All-Star team, that's great. You made the All-Star team, you don't have to play. And there were games where Willie Mays, Stan Musial, those guys get 4 ABs. And the rosters weren't as large as they are now.
Flipped in the air to left. Pierre is there, and he makes the catch. So with Rendon, Dua, Mike Redmond is going to trot out.
Looks like he's going to make a double switch.
Well, Derek Dietrich hit last. So, you know, the Marlins already have used.
He's got Lucas. He's got Ed Lucas.
He's already used Solano. So here comes Lucas into the ball game. And Dietrich exits, having done his work. In comes Cishek. Ed Lucas comes into the ball game. Lucas at second base. And for Ed Lucas, he's seen a little bit of time everywhere in the infield. A little third base action. That was a tough play in St. Louis. Going to his left. He's been very good defensively wherever Mike Redmond has plugged him in.
That's a nice feeling for a manager to have guys like Lucas and Solano who you can plug in anywhere. And look at the games he's played. At first, he started games there. Second base, third base. He had to have one game in left field. And you're right. Wherever it's been, he's done a solid job defensively.
So 9 times this year he's played 2 positions in a game.
And when you come in a game, trust me, defensively in a tie game late in the game, there's a little bit of pressure because, you know, one play, good play, bad play. We saw it last night with Tracy in a double switch can mean the difference in the game.
Steve Cishek. Oh, a breaking ball that Alan Porter didn't like. Mathis held it. Cishek's numbers. He's had a very nice run of scoreless appearances. That nearly ended last night.
Well, I've got some good news for you, Rich. As we have talked about all year, he's had some injury issues, so he hasn't had the full season, but just getting back in swing. Christian Yelich, who is back in Double-A now. But today was a great pitch there. Today, Christian Yelich playing in the Futures game at Citi Field in New York with bright stars from every organization. Yelich started as the DH, 2 for 2 with a double and an RBI.
Very nice. And a great pitch by Cishek to get Anthony Rendon. Here is Zimmerman. Zimmerman was the guy that Cishek struck out to finish the top of the 10th last night. And Zimmerman lines one to left. Pierre scrambling after it, and he's there and makes a running catch. So Cishek gets the last 2 outs. Dunn got the first, and now the Marlins go to the bottom of the 9th. All tied at 2. Now offering degrees in sports management. Learn more at kaiseruniversity.edu. By Gulfstream Park. Summer racing at Gulfstream is going on now. And by Blue Bell Ice Cream. Celebrating National Ice Cream Month in July. Try our newest flavor, Rock Slide Brownie, and celebrate with us today. In Miami on this July afternoon, dessert being served there. Hey, on a kids' Sunday. That's a great shot. Craig Stammen out of the bullpen. Now it was Stammen who finished last night's ball game. He got the loss. The run he gave up was unearned. And Echeverria was the same guy he faced to open the inning, and he hit the ground ball that Tracy threw into the seats and put Echeverria at second to start the whole inning in motion. Echeverria, Dobbs, and then Mathis. We're near the bottom of the order for Craig Stammen. Echeverria has continued to swing it. 2 line drive singles and a ground out to third.
I just like the way he's continued to adjust. Pitches away, goes that way. They come in on him. He pulls it a little bit.
That's a little pop that Rendon will run down and make the catch.
It had a chance, but Rendon got a good jump.
Up comes Dobbs. Dobbs getting the start at first, bounced into 2 double plays to begin his day, and then popped to first. So he would like to exit the first half on a better note. And a strike from Stammen. University of Dayton is where Craig Stammen played his college ball. Beautiful little minor league ballpark in Dayton. About an hour outside Cincinnati. One and two. Dobbs strikes out. And so the Nationals' pen has been very good ever since Taylor Jordan left. He went 6 innings. Ian Kroll, Drew Storen, Tyler Clippard, and now Stammen. Good two-seamers, terrific movement on that fastball by Stammen. That's part of their bullpen that's very solid. With the Stammen and Clippard and Storen. Mathis swings and misses. But for Rafael Soriano, their closer, he's had a decent year, 24 saves. His first blown save last night on the Stanton home run since May 21st. And ever since he's hit June 1st, Soriano's been really good. His ERA has been well under 2. Ed Lucas waits on deck. Marlins Live presented by Checkers with Craig and Frank. That's coming up after the game. Lucas in the double switch waits. Alvarez started the ball game. He came within an out of getting through the 7th. But once he gave up the game-tying double to Anthony Rendon, he was pulled from the game, and the bullpen took it from there. Mathis, a little tapper out to short. Desmond around it and makes the play. And Stammen works a 1-2-3 ninth extra innings. 2-2. To all season long by Jack Link's Beef Jerky, the official sponsor of Extra Innings. Feed your wild side. Marlins Park, 2-2 game. Nationals and Marlins. A 10th inning walk-off win yesterday for Miami. Steve Cishek, who got the last 2 outs of the 9th, is going to stick around for the 10th with LaRoche, Worth, and Desmond scheduled up for Washington.
Well, Cishek coming on and getting a couple of outs last inning continues his stretch. "19 games now, 17 innings for Cishek. 1 walk, no runs. So he has been just tremendous.
LaRoche pulls one. Lucas at first now. And Lucas makes the play. I was about to say he juggled it, but Lucas doesn't juggle.
You know, we talked about all the positions for Ed Lucas. He's made just a couple of errors, and both of the errors have been at third base.
The delay here is for Jason Worth, who banged a ball off his foot and was headed to the plate. Whether he forgot to put it on or someone in the dugout just figured it'd be a good idea. He's affixing a pad to that left foot. So Cishek gets Worth. Desmond climbs in on deck. Worth in the ball game is 1 for 4. Two and 0. The Marlins could win this ball game. They would push their record to 23-16 since the 31st of May. As it is at 22-16 since the 31st of May. It's the second best record in the National League.
Well, it would give them their first 4-game win streak, too.
Dodgers have had the best run in the National League. In the major leagues, the team with the best run in that time, Oakland, 24-15. Boston, 25-16. The Dodgers and the Rays, 25-17. Marlins and Pirates, 22-16. 3-2. Worth sends a hit into right field. You can see he's not running real well. That foot has got to be painful right now.
You have to wonder if that'll keep Davey Johnson from thinking maybe a steal, maybe a play on. But you can tell he's hurting a little bit.
Now Desmond. Desmond 2 for 4. He's had success against Cishek.
Not many right-handers have. Tell you too where Desmond has shined this year. He leads their club with 10 game-winning RBIs.
Mets are carrying a 4-2 lead in Pittsburgh in the top of the ninth. Reds are winning in Atlanta 5-2, top 8. The Braves in that ball game started an outfield of Constanza, Reed Johnson, and Terdoslavich.
Wow.
From left through right.
What a difference.
0-2. As well, Evan Gattis is back, and he played first base because Freddie Freeman has a jammed thumb. Freeman will not play in the All-Star game. No replacement has been named. There were 3 named as replacements earlier today. Mark Melancon, Sergio Romo, and Orioles starter Chris Tillman. Jeff Locke, Jordan Zimmerman, and Justin Verlander, the guys that will not play in the game. Little tapper slowly hit. Echeverria flips it back to Dietrich and gets the lead runner.
That's a good choice. You get an extra innings and you have a slow roller like that. The momentum is taking you to get the play at first base. But Echeverria realizes the importance of that lead run, a possible go-ahead run. He just made the little flip back to Lucas to get the force. Good job. Got his feet in the right position, too, to make that play.
Marlins get the out at second. Nationals get a little more speed at first. Worth banged up on that foot. Desmond chased back. And now Desmond goes down. And I'm not sure what happened. If it's a cramp.
Like he kind of got twisted up going back feet first.
It must be a cramp. You get to September and guys are really fatigued. Guys who especially are regulars and play every day. And at the same time, you get to this point, the last game before the All-Star break, and guys are many running on fumes. Especially a guy like Desmond who's played so much.
And plays a demanding position.
This is the 94th game for Desmond. And while no, it's not as strenuous as hockey or basketball or as violent as football, it's every day. It's a mental and physical grind.
A lot of everyday guys will even tell you that the mental part of it is draining as much as the physical part of it.
This is game number 95 for the Nationals. Very few days off. It comes after, what, 6 weeks of spring training?
Everybody usually has a stretch of 18 or 20 games where you don't have a day off.
And many of your days off in this game are travel days, days where you're actually traveling somewhere. That's trouble. That's driven in the gap off the bat of Span, and it's going to the wall, and Desmond will score easily, and the Nationals have a run here in the 10th and a 3-2 lead. Second RBI double for Denard Span.
Well, the guy who came into the game, 1 for his last 20. I would say Denard Span has come out of things a little bit. left-handed bat giving Cishek trouble. That Span's third hit in this game today. And the first run that Steve Cishek has allowed in 18 appearances.
Wilson Ramos swings and misses. And so the Nationals closer, who coughed up a ninth inning lead last night, gets up in the bullpen. Marlins have Lucas, Pierre, Polanco, and if anybody reaches, Stanton, scheduled for the 10th. Bottom half. This is top half, and it's 3-2 Washington. First lead for the Nationals today. Into left field. Well hit. And Pierre picks it up. And no chance. Span will score easily.
The first one was big. That one's huge.
A 2-run lead now for the Nationals. 4-2.
It's one of the reasons Ramos is in there. He's been swinging a hot bat. His first hit today. But in 23 games now, Wilson Ramos with 17 RBIs.
Dan Jennings in Miami's bullpen. Chad Tracy is coming up as a pinch hitter. Mike Redmond may be buying time with Jeff Mathis going out to the mound. And he is. Redmond will make a pitching change here. The Nationals get 2 runs here in the 10th off of the Marlins closer Steve Cishek. In comes Jennings. And this is another Metro PCS call to the pen. There are 2 outs. And Dan Jennings out of the bullpen. Nationals get Steve Cishek for a couple. And with Chad Tracy up there, Jennings in to face the lefty.
Well, Mike Redmond saw that Cishek wasn't quite as sharp as we've seen him over just a tremendous run that he's been on. we wanted to go lefty-lefty matchup with Jennings against Tracy.
Tracy hits a blast to right field. That ball is deep. Stanton is back at the wall. He can't get it. It bangs off the wall, and so does Stanton. Ozuna picks it up, round third, and headed home. And scoring is Wilson Ramos. And Chad Tracy, who had a big error last night, greets Jennings with a blast 395 feet from home plate.
Boy, that is not what Fred had in mind. This ball hit well by Tracy, who's done a really nice job for Davey Johnson off the bench. Chad Tracy, with his 8th pinch hit, has a couple of pinch hit home runs this year. When that run charged to Cishek.
So it's 5-2 Washington.
And the Marlins had that crazy 14-inning game against the Braves, where the Braves scored 6 runs in the top of the 14th. 3 so far here by Washington in the 10th.
Bryce Harper doubled in the 3rd. Bobby Parnell trying to save the game in Pittsburgh. The Mets have a 4-2 lead with 2 outs. The Pirates with runners at first and second. Pirates trying to hang on to that share of the Central going into the break. Cardinals play the Cubs tonight at Wrigley. Breaking ball, little tapper. Jennings picks it up, steps on the bag just before the headfirst dive of Harper. Inning ends. Nationals score 3 times and go to the bottom of the 10th, 5-2. To get to the 10th, the Marlins had to get a run against Rafael Soriano, and they did. Giancarlo Stanton knocked one up into the Budweiser balcony. I mean, that's way up there. Everybody loved it. Even Jose Fernandez into the 10th inning with the bags loaded and 1 out. Ed Lucas sprays a little ground ball. And the Nationals could not turn the double play. Hechavarria scored the game winner. A much different hill to climb here. The Marlins need 3 runs at the very least. In right field, Roger Bernardina arrives. And on the mound, it's Soriano.
What? Well, we just saw him giving up that game-tying home run to Giancarlo. Here's the irony of this game if it holds up a win for Washington. Last night, Cishek got the win, Stammen got the loss. If it holds up today, Stammen will get the win, Cishek will get the loss.
Lucas staying alive on the breaking ball. We talked to Ed Lucas before the ball game about Ross Ohlendorf, and he does remember facing Ohlendorf. He said last year they faced each other in AAA, and after the ball game they got together and talked about their days in the Ivy League. About 9 years later, fastball up. You know, the other thing that, and I suspected this, but I wanted to ask him just to make sure. You go to Dartmouth and play baseball, you're paying your own way. Ed Lucas still has student loans.
Yeah, they don't have scholarships.
No, not athletic scholarships.
Not athletic.
Rendon on to first in time. But Lucas did say that a half year in the big leagues would go a long ways to helping pay down and paying off those student loans. Now Pierre 0 for 4. Bounced to short and flied out 3 times.
This is an area where it's been a problem for the Marlins. Up at the top of the order, JP's on base percentage 285. Ruggiano, he started a lot of games and led off, not all the time, but Ruggiano's on base percentage 289.
Earlier you were talking about Christian Yelich in the Futures game today. 2 for 2 with a double and an RBI. Yelich is a guy that might be able to fill that role.
He's been hitting a lot of leadoff. And after a few games in Jupiter, he's back in Jacksonville now. Top of that Jacksonville lineup, they've been going with Yelich and Marisnik, or Marisnik and Yelich.
Two to left. Harper dives, can't get it. Pierre around first and into second after a strong throw by Harper. Wow. You assume that Pierre is going to get to second once Harper doesn't make that play. But to Harper's credit, he scrambled after the ball and threw a bolt to second.
Yeah, you're right. All of a sudden, that was a lot closer play than expected. The ball came back to him. He didn't get it, but it kind of caroms back to him. Juan Pierre slicing that ball away. Has the play in front of him all the way.
Pierre gets a double. At the very least, the Marlins would like to get Stanton to the plate as the tying runner. And to do that, Polanco's got to get on base. And it would be a rematch of last night. Soriano never seems to be in a hurry. Always a very calm and collected reliever.
Maybe a little bit of Mariano Rivera rubbed off on him, who's been that way his whole career. Saw a note the other day. This is just incredible when you think about it. Mariano Rivera with 638 saves has had 15 seasons of 30 saves or more.
Remember, Soriano was an all-star with the Rays and then spent a year setting up Rivera. That's just outside. And then last year with the injury to Mariano, Soriano saved 42 games for the Yankees and was rewarded quite handsomely with a 2-year, $28 million contract with the Nationals. That's a big coin for closers. Polanco, a little dribbler up the middle. Desmond gets the out, and so a bit of relief for the Nationals in that Stanton doesn't represent the tying run. So Stanton and Soriano meet again. But the tying run is on deck. Oh, and 1. It was a fastball that he left up, and Stanton nearly left the building. End of the bat, he sprays it over to the right side. LaRoche is there, and the Nationals get this ball game 5-2 in 10 innings. Soriano gets the save. The Marlins do win the series. Still have not won 4 in a row this year. And the Nationals climb back above 500 at 48 and 47. 5-2 the final in 10.